I call to order the Town of Carver Capital Outlay Committee. Today is January 12th, 2023 at 7 p.m. To the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank Area 58 tonight for recording. So I'm assuming no public comment tonight. There's no one here.
We're here.
We're here though. Any town administrator or finance director update?
So, one update. So, we're still waiting on the Department of Revenue for the free cash.
Okay.
So, that's kind of holding up the numbers at this stage. So, contacted them again today, and the person who was doing our account went out on maternity.
Oh.
So, it was put on to somebody else, and I'm sure that person has a stack from all her towns. So we're meandering through it. Hopefully we'll get it soon. I guess that's all we can say. Can't say a date, but.
Is it normal to take this long?
They put the free cash certification aside to set the tax rate, because this tax rate has to be set, and the bills need to be mailed out by December 31st.
Okay.
So they put all the towns that she had on back order for the free cash certification. Our stuff has been in there since November 10th, I want to say.
And what's the total estimated free cash you submitted?
2?
Yeah, it was 2.
2 million.
So they do hit it for grants that are in the negative and things like that. So it's not a definite number, but
Probably right around that.
yeah.
Ballpark.
2 million. Any other updates?
You know, that we're having the Select Board Finance Committee joint meeting on the 28th, which is a Saturday. It's
So
kind of going back to that days when they did this that way. It gets everybody in the same room to hear the budgets from the presenters, the department heads, and be able to ask questions. No votes will be taken that day unless it's a very small budget, and the boards may want to just move that along. But, you know, I'm sure the big 4 or 5, once we get school, that'll take some time. But I don't believe the schools will be ready, and North Carver Water District won't be ready.
Okay. I know originally Capital was invited. Do you still want them to attend?
Let me ask Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say I had that
Yeah.
on my calendar.
Oh, you do? Okay,
I
then,
do too,
then I'm
yeah.
assuming it was. Then,
They were, you
Yeah.
were originally invited, but Alan did send me the agenda today, and I noticed Capital wasn't on it. So
okay,
just let us know.
Yeah.
And it is an all-day agenda, like.
Yeah, we got
no,
presented on.
okay, that was sent to Alan because he's a presenter.
Okay.
It wasn't to the finance committee yet. I was waiting till I get the response from the department heads, and then I would send it to.
Well, then we
the-
didn't get it.
So we'll send it to you. But that's okay.
Just check. We
It's in its final draft form, so to speak.
Okay.
You know, because that's, I'm sure there's gonna be some who have something to do on that time or that day, you know, we'll be juggling them around, you know,
Okay.
so.
So it does look like it's like 8:30 to 2.
Yeah.
Just so.
And all the big departments are up early, starting at 8:30, the fire, police, the operations and maintenance, and EMS, library, so they're all earlier.
Yeah. Ron presented a very early version of the school committee budget at our meeting on Monday, but we haven't gotten the governor hasn't released her budget yet, so we don't know what our final numbers, and the state sent down that, you know, because it's a new governor, that to expect it to be several weeks later than it normally is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we actually just changed. We tentatively discussed changing our next meeting. We're supposed to meet on January 30th, and we might actually move it to the following week in hopes that Ron will have numbers from the governor's budget will be released, so that we'll have numbers of what we're getting from the state, so he can present a more final budget to us to approve.
Yep.
So that's always super fun.
Do you have anything else?
I guess that's part of the change of command, like one of the challenges. So yeah, so we might be moving our meeting just to make that more seamless, because then we don't meet again until after February vacation. So
Oh, wow. Be nice to get the budget earlier, so
yeah,
we can balance everything out. Okay, that's all we have, I guess, unless you have anything else. No.
And how are the budgets? Like, I don't know it's met yet, but how are they going?
Good, I mean,
Good?
there was nothing out of the ordinary
Okay.
craziness. Everybody knows that they're within a very short window going forward, so there's a few little additions and
Scotty.
so forth, so. But it's going good. I think we will probably get it out probably next week to them.
Okay. Thank you.
That's the preliminary budget.
Yeah, it's not the final budget.
Yeah.
That just starts the process, going
Exactly.
through finance and.
You have a revenue budget as well,
Yep.
Yes,
so we'll see that as well.
yeah, I can provide that to you.
Yep.
I can note, so we make sure we get that. I do have a copy that you gave me, or maybe I saw it from Finance Committee about over a month ago. Is that still the same?
No, don't go by that.
Don't go
I mean,
by
that was an early version,
Okay.
there's so many changes and
That's what I
you
was
know.
wondering. Okay.
there were some errors on it too.
Okay.
Like there was one that had, what was it, like a 2,756% increase. Was a typo, obviously,
Yeah.
but,
Okay.
so.
It happens.
Thank you. All right, so the next item we have up on our agenda was to reorganize the board. I don't know if you wanted to take over.
So, yeah, so to reorganize the board, would have a motion for the chair of the board. So, and John cannot vote at this stage, but the three of you can. So if somebody wants to make a motion for the
I make
chair,
a motion to nominate Beth Sulger as chairman.
I will second that motion.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Bess, you can take over now. Is somebody taking notes, by the
Thank you
way?
guys. I kind of am, and I'm gonna rewatch this.
Okay,
Taking some-
But I do have some notes, yes.
okay.
Let me see. Let me just write down some. Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion for a vice chairman? I don't-
Can I make a motion? I don't know.
Does anybody want to be vice chairman?
Well, I've been it, but
Okay. Then I will make a motion for Marie Zweigman as vice chair.
I'll second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you, guys. Looking forward to 2024.
Good choice.
Thank you for taking the lead.
If anyone else wanted it, it was okay.
This is probably one of the more laid-back committees, that we leave happy at the end of these, which is not a lot of committees. So,
It's fun to spend money, right?
Yeah. Okay, so the next item we have up is just to sort of discuss the FY24 capital, which is, at this stage, still not final, and we haven't gotten to that January 28th meeting. But there are some things on here we could discuss, and there have been changes, I believe, Sue, since we met on December 1st. Some of the changes I believe that I noticed was, if you're going down the new spreadsheet, was the library mechanical. I believe that was fully in last time, and now has the K at the end. So I'm assuming, again, I'm assuming this, but it probably means we're looking to potentially bond or something for that.
okay.
And I did see a change, I believe, in the fire department. Oh, I can't, there's a command car, was that added, Sue? Since the first?
There were 2 command cars on here at one time.
Okay.
So we
that's what-
removed one because it was purchased last year.
Yes, so that
So there
was.
should only be one on here, right?
Yes, there's one on here now. The school still has replace the kitchen equipment for the 232,000. With the K at the end also, so I know they were waiting for a potential grant.
Yeah, the grant was not approved. They're gonna be reapplying and, I think at our next meeting, Ron is gonna present, a new proposal for what they wanna do with that. So I don't know what the impacts to capital will be at this point in time.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know. And will we be meeting with the school and everything also? I just thought, we have a kind of an updated one.
Yeah.
If anybody had any knowledge of what's on here. We were looking for, Bob, and I think you said you would try to get it to us, not for tonight, but maybe for one of our other meetings. We had asked for a list of all the buses we had and what years they were and how many miles were on them.
I would suggest for all, buses and cars that we're replacing, anything that we get.
So you're talking about just the replacement ones
I think we want to know what we have right now
as a fleet?
as a fleet.
Okay,
yeah.
somebody must have that
Well, we
already.
answered that at the last meeting. It was in the presentation. So,
Yeah, I thought so.
yeah.
And I think John wanted mileage as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
We used to have a list that said, what the bus, the year, the mileage.
Mhm.
Oh, I see.
Just an asset list.
Yeah, just to see the rolling,
Mhm.
the rolling buses, I guess, so we can kind of, like, we know that on the schedule we have like a bus, 2 buses, a bus, 2 buses, but it'd be nice to see, what year are we replacing out and what year next year we looking to replace out.
Right. Okay, yeah, because we have 15 full-size buses. And our 2 oldest buses are 2008s.
Sweet, okay.
So could I just have a
Yeah,
question?
oh, yes,
Sorry,
absolutely.
sorry. What I ended up, I played around with this to pull the Ks and anything that was in the column, but not in the calculation to get it out so I could see what they are. So maybe we can hit those first. We have $1,427,000 in the orange in the columns here that have Ks or don't get included in the calc. Of the $1,427,000, we just went over the $1 million is the one that we're gonna go with the bond on, right? We've committed to that, correct?
For the library?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 170's always been something that just is somewhat problematic because really that's the natural, is that the complete debt service on the North Carver Water District? It used to be 250, but I guess.
No, it's less.
Huh?
It's less than
So
what
it's
their
the
debt
170.
service is. Yep.
So my thought process is the 170, should be not in our capital, the North Carver Water District should be funding it because they have the cash. Or 2, it might drop down into our fixed debt scenario because there's a note and we're keeping it out of the calculation as this one line item because it has to get paid. And we're always looking for money to try to find it paid at the end of the year. Just suggestions. Again, the 232, you talked about, that's a grant that did not get approved. So that's something we'll have to, may or may not be in the capital, right, depending on what, are they gonna go with the grant next year, or are they gonna postpone it, or?
They're gonna reapply, so I think the current plan is to just do the kitchen update and not do the cafe expansion, because we would need the grant on. And at our last meeting, we talked about it briefly at the very end, and based on previous capital money and some ARPA funds and things, we think we may be able to fund it. I don't know if there'll be an additional capital still, because like I said, Ron's still working the final numbers on it, so.
And then the 25,000 for the MHS lighting grant, Green Communities Grant, is that something that's still on the table?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard an update on that.
That's fine.
You just received the grant, though, right?
Is this part of the
Yeah,
green
I believe
communities?
so.
Yeah.
It's part of the upgrade for the grant
Yeah.
that we just received.
Where is that?
It's on the
Last page?
I was like, there's no page 3 on mine.
25,000? Oh, yeah, okay.
So I know we had talked about, and John did a great job, he sort of, I'll send it to everybody, he went through this spreadsheet and just tried to like pull out the items that had the K and everything, so we could see a little bit more of a true number of what new assets we're looking to buy and how much money we had available.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure on this spreadsheet, new assets we're looking to buy, potentially buy in 2024, the $2,089,000.
That's a total, that's a
Yep.
total
The total, and that
cost.
doesn't include the Ks.
No.
Correct.
So here's where I sometimes think we get held up. So we have annual targeted funds available for $3,000,007, but there's a portion of that that's already been allocated to items that we've already bought. So is the amount that we actually have available the $1,631,000?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we would be, if that's true,
We have to cut
right
out
now,
400,000.
we're 400,000 over in request.
Right, and you have, the Pond Street field for the school and the field concession stand, the 92,655 and the 10,000.
CPC is supposed to be taking a vote on that as to whether or not we're gonna take it out of capital, and CPC is gonna pay for that. So there's a possibility that that's not gonna be a request either.
Okay. So that would be good. And do we know when they're making a vote on that?
I believe the 26th of this month.
Okay.
And then the 185 for the culinary, that's been presented to the opera also.
It has.
So that's gonna be in the mix of the board looking to fund those things. So that's a potential to come off this list. Which one's that?
And does that meet the APA criteria?
That covers under it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
I know.
Can't really hear.
I know, it takes a minute to shut
Okay.
down. So.
Yeah, the culinary, yeah, so that's why I said I can't speak to anything with the kitchen, because that's January 24th, the Board of
What's this?
Selectmen is voting, yes, that it would fall under ARPA use. It's just whether or not the town has to make the decision on what they're gonna use the ARPA funds for. So we've submitted our request, and that'll be voted on at the January 24th Board of Selectmen meeting.
Sure, sounds good. Do you guys have any other questions about this?
Yeah, well, yeah, I just have some questions about, I guess I'm still confused to a certain point. Let's look at expenditures. Let's pretend we have zero in the capital account, right? And the first thing you have to do, you have to go pay your fixed capital costs, so we need 1.6. And let's just say we waved our magic wand and we agreed that 2,089,755 all got approved. So now I'm at 3,736,519. Those two numbers together is really separate from the other stuff that's got Ks. We need that. We've got $2 million in free cash. Really, so what's the source of the 1.7 that we have to make up for this delta?
Well, so the free cash too is being allotted to other items too, not just the capital plan.
Yeah.
So we got an issue with that.
So the 3.786595 is the forecast, the plan for the capital budget over the next 10 years. So this is the FY24 number that the town has agreed to back into to provide for the payment of debt and capital items and other things that were probably not really capital items. They were more like joint expenditures that would reduce that number. So, but that's the number that came on the worksheet that was the 10-year forecast from the prior finance director.
Okay.
That I don't, I'm showing that because I don't want to say, oh no, now you guys only have 1.6. But when we're finished looking at what we should put into the regular general fund, because what we're doing is we're giving you 3.7, and then you're taking 1.6 back out to put into the general fund to pay for debt. So why not just leave it in the general fund to pay for the debt and then give you, show you guys the difference of what you have to pay for. But because we have so many, like I had mentioned before, that it'd be nice to have a subcommittee to talk about this, whether it's somebody from Capital, somebody from FinCom, and somebody from Selectmen, so we can make decisions as to how this should look compared to how it's looked in the past, without having to make, we're going to give you this, but then we're going to transfer it back here, and the revenue source is the same stream. So it just seems like it could be a lot easier, better understanding, but without talking to people and having them understand the like a subcommittee to bring back to your committees.
Make this something else.
It's hard to explain in a one-night thing and have everybody understand.
So it seems like kind of what comes first, meaning if you were to turn around and say, we've done our budget, we've got our revenue component, I'm not sure if this is still the process or was a process at all. You have your revenue. From that, you're gonna start deducting whatever reserves you put in place, health, anything like that. Will you take the 1.6 out of that total right at the beginning? So then at some point, you're gonna be left with, is it that you would give the capital outlay a number? Hey, we think we can afford $1 million in capital? Or do you go to the capital outlay committee that talks the budgets and kind of take this 2.8 and get it down to what the actual list is that we think we would recommend to go forward with? And then you try to meet that number. Like, are we meeting your number, or are you trying to meet our number is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, so we take the 3.7, and I show you what we've backed out of it that should just have been paid for out of the general fund anyway, then give you the number that's left, and you do what you need to with the capital, and whatever you don't spend on capital items now goes into the capital trust. So it's not just, we don't know what we're going to do with this extra money, we'll put it in the capital trust for the following year.
Okay.
Got it.
Generally, we don't fund all the requests,
Yeah.
but what I do is have them prioritize
Sure.
each department. If we can fund a majority of them, what is on your priority? And a lot of times they put that next thing off till the next year. So
So I like you put it, go to the capital trust for next year, but do you ever leave any form of a contingency for this year? So say all of a sudden, something major breaks in the building and it's a capital item. Do you ever leave like a little bit of contingency money for that?
we have in the budget
It's in
contingencies.
the
Yeah,
operating
yeah,
budget,
yeah.
not capital.
for any emergencies.
So we don't still have way back when the finance committee had a $125,000 reserve fund and capital outlay had
Well, they
Yeah,
still
they
have
do.
that.
Okay.
And then, then there was a line item under the bottom line where the red is, and it said, for contracts for O&M. And then there was a line item in Article 2 out of free cash for capital projects that may occur during the year. So those are now above the line as a joint expenditure rather than being on a capital expenditure, because you really, if you don't use it, it's gonna get closed back out, rather than saying, here's your money, and, you're taking it from capital when you don't need to.
I don't know if there's a bucket for the 125 for capital. Like the finance.
The finance committee is like above the line from capital.
Okay.
It's on the top here.
So there is, so if we're into the next year and someone has a capital need, they could come to capital outlay and say, I've got an unexpected expenditure for $50,000, and we have $125,000 in an account somewhere to say, yes,
It's actually budgeted under O&M. So there's like $88,000 budgeted under O&M for that purpose. And you guys have consistently given them that money with the free flow. If something happens, they didn't have to come back and ask for it.
Okay. I haven't heard of anyone coming since, we haven't had a meeting since March, so I don't know.
I don't
Anyone's
know,
coming from
I
April
haven't
on.
seen them spend it.
Okay,
It's sitting there and it hasn't been spent in 6 months.
all right.
I guess it's new to me, but wouldn't it, so what you're saying is the capital outlay in theory has pre-approved 80,000, what you said?
88,000,
$88,000 sitting in the O and M department expense?
right.
Okay, so if somebody needs something, we don't vote on it at all.
No,
Who authorizes it?
Dave Steentop.
Okay, that's completely different than we used to do. so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we just start that, or has that been like that
It's-
for years? I don't know.
It's been like that since I've been
Since
here.
we've got here.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
I would suggest to come to us
Yeah, I think so too. I think if someone
Well,
wants to buy.
for visibility, transparency standpoint, but
Yeah.
that's.
Come to who? Capital
Capital
or
outlay.
Yeah,
finance?
capital outlay. Just a thought.
And what happens if the item's not O and M related? What if the school department needed to buy something?
the school department has their own funding source. I'm not sure what they do, but we also have another line item out of the selectmen's budget that also has, if it's not O and M related, if it's, town, different, something that doesn't have to do with buildings and grounds, then there's another pot of money that we have in the selectmen's office that the selectmen would approve.
And has anyone ever hit it for a non-capital item?
No. Like right now, John Woods just came to me today and he said that they have a backhoe or a loader or something like that, and it's gonna need repair. It's gonna be about $6,000. So that is where he's gonna be taking that kind of money from to repair the back loads.
But is
What?
that, yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we've talked about at our last meeting is really what is capital and what isn't. And do we have a defined capitalization policy for the town, other than $10,000? I mean,
It's just by the bylaw, that's what the bylaw says.
so it's something that we should probably look at. So that everybody's not, people are budgeting,
Yeah.
they know what to budget for.
And I believe we put a placeholder on the warrant for that so that we could have a meeting to go over that.
But in the instance of, if someone, in that example, where some monies were needed for a capital item, that doesn't go on to like a public meeting, like coming here or going to the Board of Selectmen and saying, hey, unexpected expenditure happened for X, it's coming from capital, right? That's just done, it's an administrative process, I guess, right now. Okay.
Yeah, and I can see how that's happening because the way you have it on your books, it looks like it is just a chunk of money for an operating expense item and not an item that's capital.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So if we meant for that money to be for capital, it probably needs to get moved somewhere else and have to come to this committee.
Makes sense.
So just something we can look into.
Sure.
And we're not trying to take money away from O and M in any way, it's just, I'm sure that's,
And
yeah.
There's another question. When, I think you mentioned that if something gets, let's say, appropriated for, pick a thing, $100,000, that if it doesn't get spent, it stays in the capital fund, it remains behind in the capital fund? Is that what you said?
Only if there's something that is outstanding, a bill that's outstanding, that we haven't paid and we're waiting for the bill to come in. Otherwise, it gets closed out at the end of the year.
So capital starts off zero every single year.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question on that though. I've looked at some reports on the finance committee, and off the top of my head, I can't think of the name of the report, but you can actually see on the reports, it will say, for example, the school committee might have $100,000 for new shingles. I'm just making that up, but there might be a bucket for that. And then it would say approved at town meeting 2019, and it's still sitting there. So that came from capital, but it's now sitting in their budget that they're rolling forward year after year. At what point do we take that money back in and close it out?
We cleaned a lot of it up last year.
Yeah.
And now it's just a matter of every year at, May 31st, you need to tell me what I'm carrying forward. Why is this project not complete? If it is complete, it's getting closed out. So we closed out the feasibility study for the Council on Aging because that was done a long time ago. There was what's this, it's not a stormwater management plan, what was the other plan? The master plan that was on there, we closed that one out. So we did look at a lot of them last year and closed them out, and so now it's just gonna be a recurring, making sure that if this project is complete and you bought your truck, I'm not carrying over $2,000 because you might need a tire next year, you know?
Okay.
And the select board modified the financial plan so that each year we will sweep the accounts to see what can be transferred back over to the general fund.
Okay.
So that's something that
Are
we
there
do.
a lot of accounts like that left?
No,
No. Okay.
we took a lot of them out last year to clean them up.
So if you, I just see $100,000 item, but if you have a capital outlay, this gets approved at $100,000, and for some reason it comes in at 110, does that come out of the department's expense category?
Generally, yeah, from one of these accounts that has the money in it that can cover it.
Gotcha.
So just because this is my first time being on capital outlay, so this budget hasn't changed a lot since the last one. A few items have been cleaned up and changed. On the 28th, when we meet with or when the select board and the finance committee meet, and capital outlay may or may not be there, we'll get detailed presentations on that day and prioritizations, and then we're really coming up with the final list that'll go on the warrant for approval at town meeting, right? Is that the end goal here?
Yes. And is that their plan, potentially to also present on their capital items? I know last year it was separate. We didn't do
Yeah,
that type
yeah.
of meeting, but they came to us separately to present.
Yeah, I think it's, jeez.
The darn air conditioner. It's
Talk loud.
it's so loud.
What's your question? So,
She was
well,
asking
yeah,
if
so
on the
I think
28th
it's still
that the
worthwhile
departments-
to have all the presenters come in before this committee
Okay.
to have them explain, because it's really, you're gonna cut down what is recommended,
Right.
so it's not, it's not for that meeting. That meeting is
Okay.
more of an informational meeting,
Sure.
for everybody to get the information on what's going on and what the budget looks like and what they're proposing. So they may, it's up to you, I guess.
Well, I think we liked it last year when they all came forward and told us why they needed each of these items that was on the list. Just because some of the items, we really need them for safety or, something like that. And other items are more of a wish item. So I think it's good for the board to
Yeah.
understand what that
Do-
is.
Just so, because this is what we used to do way back when, the first meeting was more as informational, no decisions are made. It's usually the wish list to a certain point, and then they prioritize stuff in the way they need it, just so we have an understanding. But then, then the finance committee does their thing, you guys do your thing, everything stays the same, and then your final recommendations is really what then comes back. So it's not meant to go around it, it's just information.
So do you think maybe February or March, we could start bringing them in
I would start early, yeah.
early? Okay.
Yeah, in
So
February.
We're ready when they're ready.
Yep.
Still when
You get the nice presentation from the
they're ready. Yeah,
fire department,
EMS.
all in color.
Well, if all those groups are going to be at the joint meeting on the 28th, maybe that would be a good time. Even if capital's not there, you'll be there as part of the finance committee. You could have a calendar and kind of get dates from them of when they would be available, and then we could determine from those availabilities and set meetings.
Sure, we can do that.
That might help
Yeah.
move the process along. Yeah, facilitate. Thank you. I was looking for the word.
I know last year they did an amazing job and it came up. And,
Yeah.
when I sent an email out about meetings, everybody more than welcomed me to every single meeting. They were
Great. Cool.
Yeah, nobody gave me a hard time. It was just, yep, we'll be there any night you want.
Okay.
I was going to say that meeting on the 28th, there's not a lot of time, like, for them to present, because as you remember, that they come in with a thick
We do.
program that they want to discuss every aspect of it. And I think that can happen here, you know, where you can really dig in deep into what they're saying, what they're
This is
proposing.
examples they're gonna come with.
Oh, nice.
So they're all gonna, not everybody, but if they have a water request, they're gonna.
But police, fire, EMS,
And I know Ron will have a pretty package for the school.
yeah, yeah.
Ron does a nice deck.
Yeah, and actually looking at this, last year, I think fire was one of the first to come in, they came in January 13th.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was this time
Yeah.
last year. So I'll send out emails to everyone on that. Would you like us to wait till after the 28th?
I think that, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And then if you can discuss, like, time of the meeting, if you want to start earlier than 7 o'clock, it's up to everybody.
We were just
Is it-
discussing that before about moving these to 6.
Yeah, I think a 6 o'clock start is fine.
Yeah. So we'll do that for our next meeting.
What'd you say? Let's start over.
Going through like an airport.
It's
That should be on the capital.
Surprised it's not in an old bucket somewhere.
HVAC for the town hall.
Any other questions or anything else regarding the capital?
How's the siding repair coming along on the building?
So the bids went out, and waiting for the date to have the openings. So.
Gotcha.
And what about the library?
And the library, they got a contract
They
with
do.
them.
Okay.
So there was a kind of a holdup on subcontractors. So I think it's just that everybody's having a problem getting workers and getting companies, and they're all straight out.
Staffing charges are incredible.
So, yep. So it'll be starting up soon.
Just basically looking at this capital list again, we talked about things that, and maybe you said that I missed it, was we think the CPC might be a better avenue for it than being on capital. I think the tennis courts was one, Pond Street Field, phase one. Do you know if anybody's talked to
They-
them? Do
yeah.
they have a plan to put
They
anything on?
submitted them to
Good.
the,
So this,
for Pond Street and the field concession, I
so
think.
that can come off this list?
If they pass, if they approve it.
They're meeting
Okay.
on January 26th.
And sometimes the CPC will approve a certain amount. And then they need funding for the rest of it, so. So it may reduce this, or it may be totally rejected too.
Do we know how much CPC has in there, like available?
Do you know what the balance is?
They have enough to cover this stuff.
They do. That's all I'm wondering.
Safe answer.
As a separate note, I go through the financials, and way back when we had the cleanest report for CPC that used to be, it's just a system. Whatever system they used way back when, it said, you know, town contributes, state contributes, here's everything you're spending it on, here's the ones on long-term debt, articles, things like that. I've wrestled with the one we have. Maybe I can combine and just walk me through how do I figure out, you know, of all this money, what goes into what bucket, because it seems to be more like a trial balance that I can't read. Unless there's another report out there that I'm not aware of. Just to get a better flavor of what's running through it. The other item I had on here was, this has more of a grant question, the 71 passenger bus and the EV infrastructure grant pending. Do you have an update on that now?
I do not have an
Okay.
update on that.
So what happens if this gets, if there's like a time lag between us approving it, town meeting, whatever, and then the grant coming in? So if town meeting approves $126,000 for a 71 passenger van, and all of a sudden a $25,000 grant hits the month after, does that money come back to us?
So you mean before town meeting or after town meeting?
I don't know when grants get approved.
Yeah.
If we'll know the grants are approved before town meeting, then we know the number. But if the taxpayers say, we agree to pay the 126 for capital outlay.
Yeah, so then
And all
it's
of a
just
sudden-
not spent out of capital outlay. It's
So-
spent through the grant,
So a month later, the grant gets approved, it gets spent with the grant.
right?
And that 25,000 in theory drops down and you clear it out at the end of the year.
Yep.
Is that the process?
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
And I'm sure when Ron comes in to do the school committee presentation, he'll have all the specifics on like, you know, when it was submitted, when the time frame for the decision is, like, he'll have all that information.
Yeah. He's a great resource for us as well as the town. He's done an unbelievable job over there.
He's like a grant master.
Yeah, yep.
Him and
Yeah, I'm
Meredith.
constantly signing contracts that come out for grants that he's gotten. So, which is kind of nice.
Him and Meredith are so good at like researching and finding these grants to try to like
Mhm.
That's amazing.
tap into. There's money out there. You just gotta
Yeah.
gotta want it and find it. And they're really great at it.
Mm.
Okay. Alright, so no other questions on 24 budget right now? Okay. So we have 2 different minutes to approve tonight. Let's see. I made an error on the minutes from the 20th and I've already fixed them in this copy that you have, but they weren't fixed in the one that I emailed out to you. These minutes were done by Elaine Weston, but I made an error on the top and I accidentally, on Bob's name, put interim and I've removed that, so it does not. I think I grabbed a really old
What
template.
was the date though?
Well, I had an old template that I took her notes and pasted them to. And
No, but so I was interim until July 1.
oh, I don't know.
So are you talking about the minutes?
These minutes, when I sent them out to everybody yesterday, I initially had an error on my minutes.
Okay. Oh, that's,
So I did
I'm
fix
so
that
hurt.
anyway. I know, and I immediately caught it, and I said, I'm just gonna bring the new updated one, so there was an error on the one I emailed out to you guys, I've already fixed it.
at least you didn't say
And-
former town
No,
administrator.
no,
I've done that before at work. My boss he got promoted president of the company, but prior to that, he was the chief operating officer. And I've sent out so many things where it's just as chief operating officer,
Yeah.
not president. And I'm like, sorry, Kelly. He's like, I don't care.
it was my fault, I grabbed an old template, but I did fix
No
that, so I
worries.
don't know if anyone found anything else, or if everyone's okay with either of the minutes. That was on the 20th, that I had made that error, not on the 1st.
Okay.
Okay, so if everyone is okay with the minutes, I'll take a vote on the minutes for December 1st, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 1st, 2022 capital outlay meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion- Okay. The ayes have it. 2-0. Okay, I'll take a vote for the minutes on December 20th, 2022.
Motion to approve minutes of the December 20th, 2022 meeting.
I have to abstain because I wasn't present.
Okay, so you probably have to
You can
put that
second
off
it.
till
I'll
next
second
meeting.
it.
I can't vote.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was just for the, okay. Motion made and seconded, all those in favor? Aye. I don't have any other topics to discuss tonight other than what we've already talked about. Does anyone else?
So I guess I just want to clarify. So our next meeting, I thought was going to be Saturday the 28th, but you're going to email us.
Yeah,
and let us
it
know if we
probably will
actually
be.
need to.
Okay.
A joint meeting with, now, I'll send that
Well,
out.
2 of us will already, me and John will be there, so it's just 2 more people.
No, I know, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so you'll confirm.
And it's at the fire station.
Yes.
It's not here, so.
Oh,
I think I knew that.
Oh, all right. So okay, so I would plan on meeting that day.
Okay.
It's a Saturday morning. I believe the agenda had the first item for 8:30. But I'll let you know, I would assume be there earlier than 8:30, maybe 8. But I'll let you know. And it does look like it's an all-day event till 2.
Usually 8 to 2.
Are they going to provide snacks?
I don't know if it's in the budget.
They used to provide pizza for the
What's
entire
that?
day. They used to provide pizza for the entire day.
Really? Well, we'll have
Don't know where it's in the
bagels
budget.
and some other things for the break in the morning. I don't know
Okay.
what.
There is a break at 10:45, so eat breakfast.
And then another one there's 2 breaks.
It's 2.
That was just me being
Oh, 1
tongue in
o'clock.
cheek.
1 o'clock.
Those are
yeah.
bathroom breaks, 10
Yeah,
minutes,
10
in and
minute
out.
break, both of them.
Sounds good. I'll make it work.
So we'll meet then, so I will ask all the department heads, I guess, or I can send out an email too, so we can get all of our next meetings going.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, we'll do them at 6 PM. Did Thursdays still work for everybody?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. We may do a couple in the month of February, just to kind of get these moving.
Maybe
There's a-
one or two that we'll have to bump to potentially 6:30, because I do have a couple of policy subcommittee meetings that tend to be on Thursdays, but those are almost always wrapped up by 6:30 the latest.
Okay.
So, once we have dates, I'll let you know if we have to bump the time on any of those.
Okay, absolutely.
And I won't be around the school vacation week.
Yeah,
So-
okay. We can plan on meeting that week if everyone wants.
And we did talk about putting something in the town warrant with regards to what our capitalization policy is. I should know off the top of my head, but I don't. What's the date that has to be submitted by?
We have a placeholder, so
Right now. Yeah.
we have probably till
Is it
the end of
90 days before
February.
town meeting, or is it 30 days before town meeting?
Hmm?
How many days before town meeting does it have to be
I
finalized by?
think it's 20. It's
Okay,
gotta
so we
be
got some time.
posted 20 days before.
Would you guys
But we're
like to
putting
have a
the, we're
separate-
putting the warrant together now, so if we have the language, we can put it in.
Okay. Would you guys like to have a separate meeting for that?
Probably should.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we could even do that in January if you guys are available.
January's clicking away
It is.
already.
Today's the 12th.
Where does it go?
So next week's the 19th or the 26th?
So the 19th is the conference, the MMA conference,
Okay.
so
So, would anybody want to meet on the 26th that
I
night?
can do that, yeah.
What was that? What day is that?
It's on a Thursday.
That's fine.
Okay.
I do have a policy subcommittee meeting that day, so if we could do 6:30 or 7 that night. I think 6:30 should be fine. I don't
6:30 's fine.
foresee our meeting going.
And I don't know if we will need a town administrator update or a finance director update.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so we wouldn't, it's okay, you guys wouldn't have to come to that one because we're just gonna work on the policy that night. Not the policy, I'm sorry, the warrant article.
shucks.
Which is establishing policy.
Right now it's, okay, so tentatively 6:30, or do you want to do 7?
I think 6:30 is fine.
2:30 or 7 works for me.
Me too, I can do either one. Okay, so it'll be on next one. Any committee member comments?
I think you just recognize Jim Hoffman for his
Oh.
work last year on the
Yes.
committee. Did a good job coming in for his first year.
Yes, I
And he,
absolutely. Just so everyone knows, Jim Hoffman has resigned from Capital Outlay, and we have a new select board member, John Cotter. But Jim Hoffman did an amazing job last year with the
Good job.
budget and the helping of the start of this fiscal year as well.
so there's an opening, town administrator appointment opening that'll be coming up, so if anybody's interested out there.
Yes.
We have a lot
Apply.
of committee slots to fill all over the place, so.
But this is a wonderful committee. right?
It is,
Yes.
it is.
We're super pleasant. Why wouldn't somebody want to join us?
My favorite committee.
No money.
Yes.
We're like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Come get your gifts.
Just gonna find out who's naughty or nice, right? When they come in here. No, you're
No,
naughty,
we
you're
don't
not
do
getting it.
Everyone's
You're on the
great.
no list. Oh,
Wednesdays.
gosh.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion made in second, all those in favor?
I
Okay, the ayes have it. Have a great night.
can tell you.